2003, after the long-dormant Freddy vs. Jason and it being a box office success, talks of a sequel were circulating soon after its release. It's uncertain which came first, but due to the fact that Freddy vs. Jason vs. Pinhead was the original ending for the film, we'll go with that first. In one of the many endings for the film that were planned, Freddy and Jason are fighting each other in hell when they get ensnared in chains. Then out of the shadows, Pinhead arrives and asks, "Now what seems to be the problem, gentlemen?" And it cuts to black. It's assumed that Doug Bradley would have reprised his role, but this ending wasn't used purely on the grounds that New Line Cinemas didn't own Clive Barker's creation and didn't want to pay the licensing fees for him, as well as the fact that New Line felt Pinhead was a low-rent character due to the series surviving only on direct-to-video movies and the character not being as popular as Freddy or Jason, which I call bullshit on. This would have led to a sequel with the three, but no ideas or scripts have been released, so it's assumed that this was only a possible alternate ending for the film, and nothing ever went beyond that. With that, another sequel to Freddy vs. Jason was suggested, and that was the more popular Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. This was actually close to happening, but it ultimately got trapped in development hell. Bruce Campbell claims he and I assume either Sam Raimi, Rob Tappert, or all three went to have a discussion with New Line about the sequel. The producers approached the Evil Dead team about the sequel, and the Evil Dead team wanted Ash to kill both Freddy and Jason, but the producers refused to have either horror icon be killed, so the Evil Dead team said, "Fuck that," and left it at that. Campbell went on to even state that the idea of Ash not killing them to be creatively bankrupt. Eventually, a comic book miniseries was made instead, which involves Freddy now being trapped inside the mind of Jason, and ultimately powerless. He eventually figures out he needs the Necronomicon to resurrect himself, and ultimately swindles Jason into getting it for him so that Jason can become a real boy, whatever that means. This leads to a Crystal Lake location of an S-Mart, where Ash Williams enters the picture. They fight at the end of the series, and Jason becomes frozen under Crystal Lake, and Freddy gets banished to the Deadite world. It's unknown whether or not this was based on a script that was written for the unused sequel, or if this was written purely for the comic series. The comic series got a sequel entitled The Nightmare Warriors, which furthers the adventures of all three horror icons. Very little is known about both films and if they barely went past the idea stage, but with that, I'll see you tomorrow with another video.